What's up, everybody? Welcome to Batman Unmasked, your after show for Batman, the Telltale series. Now, normally, you'd come watch this episode after you beat whatever episode you just beat, and we'd all talk about it and talk about our decisions. Everybody go, oh, I can't believe that one would be great, it'd be fun. But you haven't played it yet. Episode 1 isn't out. So instead, today, we're gonna talk about how this Batman game came to be. So I'm Greg Miller from KindaFunny.com, and this is Tony Guerrero from Comic Vine and GameSpot. How are you, Tony?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Good. Now you're here because you know a lot about Batman. You like the comics.
I do. Yeah.
Who is Batman?
Batman. Can I say?
Yeah.
Is this a spoiler?
Well, I don't know. Have they changed that in your game?
I don't know if it's a spoiler.
No, it's the same. Okay.
So Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Great. We'll see you back here for episode. No, everybody, don't worry about it. Sean O'Connor
Yes.
from Telltale Games, executive producer. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
You know, I'm pretty well. This is a nice set. You've done well for yourself.
We're excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Oh, he's excited.
And Tony as well.
No. Don't bring Tony into it if you don't have to. No, what are you guys bringing to Batman? You know what I mean? This is what, for me as a Batman fan, for Tony as a Batman fan, Batman's been done well before. Like, what were you excited for to come to and tackle on this project?
Yeah, I think this will be a Telltale Batman game, and I think there's been great Batman games before, and they've been really focused on action and skill, but we're bringing the drama and the detective work and some of these aspects that we do really well with our format. Like, we're going to be playing a lot of Bruce in our game, which is different than other Batman games, as well as a lot of Batman. And at certain points in our game, you get to choose whether you play as Bruce or Batman. So, you know, Telltale has a kind of a unique way, a story-driven game, and it's our take on Batman.
So then, Sean, what was the reaction in the studio like when people came in like, oh, we're going to work on a Batman game?
Oh, it was huge.
Yeah.
We have so many Batman fans here and so many comic fans, and yeah, the team is super excited. And even the people that are working on the other projects in the studio are super excited about Batman. And
was there trepidation? I mean, this is Batman. You know what I mean? You guys have had big properties before.
We don't shy away from a challenge, right? We're excited about it. We see so much that we can do that's different from what's been done before. So we think our take on Batman can be really unique and really entertaining to the fans.
Okay. So, Kevin, you're talking about Bruce, you're talking about Batman. How do you find that balance, and how does that look from a gameplay perspective?
Well, I think when we look at it, we look at your Batman no matter what suit you're wearing, whether you're wearing the bat suit or whether you're wearing the tuxedo as Bruce. So you're always Batman. Everything that can happen as Bruce can affect what happens as Batman and vice versa. So that was really kind of where we were grounded, this duality of always being Batman in every context.
Now, Tony, are they saying the right things? Because I'm a Batman fan like you, and it sounds like they're saying the right things.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only difference would be Batman is Bruce Wayne if there's other people around. But yeah, he is always Batman because Bruce Wayne is more like the costume.
Right. Bruce Wayne's the mask.
Yeah.
Right?
Batman is who he is.
And I guess that's what's interesting about the game and what I've seen when we went to E3 and I got to watch the demo. Nobody let me play. Jerks. Is the fact that, you know, we get to be in the mind of Batman. And even when we are Bruce, it's then that question of, do I want to talk to Falcone and do I want to be a jerk about it? Or do I want to try to be the aloof playboy? Do I want to look weak? Do I want to start letting that Bruce Wayne part, or the Batman part go out as Bruce Wayne? Sean, is that hard to balance? I feel like Telltale games are always like, all right, you got to be a good guy, or not a good guy or a bad guy, but you make decisions that then radiate out. And Batman is so interesting. There's usually a core to what Batman is.
So is it difficult? Sure. But all of our games are difficult to make and make really well, and make those choices really matter, and make sure that the inner relationships you have with the other characters are all really meaningful and deep. So yeah, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but it's actually really fun to do and go, okay, we can be, you know, kind of the Caped Crusader Batman or more the Dark Knight, more brutal Batman, you know, and you can make those choices of how you want to go and how you want to play.
And that's what was fascinating about that E3 demo, is the fact that having the first glance at the game and what episode 1 was going to be, seeing those pop up where I think it's a conversation with Catwoman on the rooftop where she's like, well, why do you do this? And the choices pop up and it's like, well, I want to be the hero or I need to instill fear and all. And right there was the first time of like,
or
oh,
Gotham
right.
needs me. Yeah.
Exactly. Because this is, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, your own Batman, your own universe. You're playing, this is all your own universe thing.
Yeah, that's one of the great things is Batman has a 75 years of history and there's been all these different takes in the comics and movies and television on what kind of what the Batman universe is like. There isn't really an official canon, like one true Batman. So we're making our own version of Batman, and it starts at a very familiar place where people are going to identify like all the common Batman elements, but it definitely does not finish there. It evolves in a very unique to Telltale way.
He becomes Superman.
He becomes Superman. Absolutely.
Tony, for you, here we are, pre-episode 1. What does Batman need to be? When you think of Batman, what do you think of in terms of this is what the character is?
Well, I mean, they always say Batman can take on anyone. He's a brilliant man. He's a great fighter, but it's all about his mind. He's has contingency plans, and he's the world's greatest detective. So he needs to be able to take on any situation, be prepared, and dive in there. So I'm fascinated about the idea of delving into the decision-making of Batman, and hopefully I can make the right decisions that Batman would make.
Well, that's the whole thing, and that's what's so weird about it, right, is that I felt like in previous Telltale games, right, Michonne in particular, where when I was playing it, I felt like I knew that character, so I knew the choices I was making. This is the canon choice of how it should be. But with Batman, it is like, more than ever, the branching paths, and if I want to be the Dark Knight, if I want to be the really brutal Batman, I can do that. But if I want to be, the more, I'm in the gray suit with the blue top, I'm here and I'm going to be nicer and chum and all this different stuff. That's fascinating. That's what I'm interested about and how it's going to all play out. But then talk a little bit more then, I guess, about the fact of how it mutates, how Bruce's decisions affect Batman's and vice versa.
I'll talk Batman first. So Batman, how you act as Batman, if you're really brutal, the city kind of turns against you. So our game is early on in Batman's career. It's not, 10 years in. It's
ballpark
1 or 2 years,
okay,
3 years, somewhere like that.
He hasn't had 15 Robins yet.
Right.
Gotcha.
Exactly. He has had 0 Robins at this point. So Gotham's still not sure how to react to this masked vigilante.
Sure.
And so depending on how you act, Gotham acts different. And so depending on how you act as Bruce, with Falcone, like you said, that we showed in the E3 demo, or with Harvey Dent or some of the other characters that we have, that impacts how Gotham perceives Bruce as well. It all kind of ties together in some very cool and meaningful ways that I don't want to spoil.
Is it interesting to jump in and be able to have your own Harvey Dent and have your own Selena Kyle? Because that was the thing I was taking away from it, is the fact that I feel whenever we talk about Batman as a property, as 75 years of history, you talk about the Rogues Gallery, and you talk about all this, his partners in crime and all these different things. To come out and see the way Harvey interacts with Bruce, and then to see the way Catwoman and Batman get to there's something familiar about it with like Batman, Catwoman, and then with Harvey there was something grounded and not, if that makes sense.
Well, it's exactly what Kevin said, is we start in a very familiar place. So if you're familiar with Batman, which I would assume most people are that are picking this up.
If you're watching this, hey, what's up, Batman?
You probably are. We start in a relatively familiar place, and so with characters that you know, and we establish that, but then it kind of goes where you take it. So it really depends on how you play it, how you play with those characters, how you interact with them, how you treat them, in where those characters go and where the season goes.
Based on Batman's decisions and Bruce's decisions, is it possible that maybe somebody we think would become a villain this way won't become a villain at all? Is that too leading of a question?
Yeah, I think there's definitely space where who the villains are in our series emerges from gameplay. So you may choose to do something that keeps Harvey, kind of leans into the good side of Harvey, but at the expense of your relationship with Vicky and things like that. Kind of in a Telltale game, there's no right or wrong answer to stuff. You're just making a mess of yourself the whole time.
There's just different consequences.
So then,
sometimes good, sometimes bad.
I mean, my question for you guys was then, how did you sell DC on letting you do that? You know, I mean, like, when I think of DC, I think of them protecting their characters and like protecting their toy box. Are they getting better about that?
They're fantastic to work with.
Yeah.
So the way we've kind of approached is we've thought of what we want to do, and we go talk with them, meet with them, and they're really open to us building our own Batman story and not just adapting something that's out there. So we're not trying to adapt any Batman story that's out there. We're building our own Batman story and our own Bruce story. And so they're really open to that. And they are super excited about some of the stuff that we're doing. They're like, I can't believe nobody's thought of that before. They've actually said it. So I'm like, 75 years, nobody's done what you guys are doing. So there's some really cool stuff that's going to be surprises in there.
Tony, does that surprise you? You keep an eye on the comic book industry. I feel like being a DC fanboy for my entire life.
I mean, it makes sense. I could see them being very protective, and and there should be certain ground rules. I am a strong, I believe Batman shouldn't kill.
Yeah.
I don't think he needs to, because the death of his parents that was his driving force. So he would hold all life sacred, even people like the Joker. So I think he's so skilled that he knows how to take down an opponent. The only problem is keeping them locked up.
Exactly.
That seems
which
to be,
he can't do.
He cannot do that.
Every time.
Somehow in Gotham, that seems to be the challenge. Yeah, and they are very protective.
Oh, sure.
They're not just like, do whatever you want, but they're very open to us telling our own story if it makes sense and fits within the overall construct.
So how did this conversation with DC about Batman start? Like, I think that's an interesting thing. You guys are Telltale, you make all sorts of crazy, amazing games, but did they approach you? Do you approach them?
Well, we started working on things like Wolf Among Us, our fables.
Yeah.
And that's where we got to know each other a little bit. And, Batman is the crown jewel. It's the one of the biggest things on the planet that we could work with.
Sure.
So it's a real privilege to be able to go and play there. It was a process of working on Wolf Among Us and seeing the kind of cool things that we could do with Wolf Among Us, and then talking about what was the next thing we wanted to do.
Did you have to, in a way, prove yourself to them? I mean, Wolf Among Us is your first foray out with them, and I remember, that was years ago when you guys announced that. That was at that event downtown.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was I wouldn't say Wolf was like a test to see if we could do Batman.
Sure.
It wasn't like a prerequisite.
Okay.
But it was a big step in the evolution of the relationship of all the Batman games that have come before have been stellar. There's been really amazing games, and it's important that important to Warner that we make a really good Batman game.
Sure.
Obviously. So I think we've gotten to a really credible point in the relationship between both companies, and we're like, okay, let's go for it. Let's go for the brass ring. Let's do Batman.
You make a joke, about it's important to them that we don't make a bad Batman game or stuff, but that, in a way, I think, is what's awesome about where we are right now in 2016, is the fact that companies like DC and Warner Brothers take it seriously now, when in the past, maybe not DC or anybody, now they actually want to tell stories and they want to build universes.
Yeah, I mean, look at how good all the Batman games have been
so
far. And I think our game is a very different take. It offers players a very different way of exploring the Batman universe, but it's going to meets all the same quality that you expect from a Batman game, which is the bar is really high. They've done a really good job of picking partners and working really well with partners, and we're getting all that for us as well.
Sean, are you ready though? Because so many people are going to pick it up and be like there's going to be all the Telltale nerds like me, like this audience, that pick it up and know what they're getting, right?
Yep.
But you're going to get a whole bunch of people who are coming over like, all right, why is there so much talking?
Yeah, you're exactly right, and I think that's we need to educate our audience of how this game is different from the Rocksteady games or any of the other Batman games that are out there, where this game is about playing as Bruce, playing as Batman. A lot of it is dialogue, and a lot of it is interpersonal relationships and the machinations of how that stuff changes as you act differently and behave differently, and how you deal with each of those characters in different situations. That's where the Telltale magic is, right?
Yeah.
So for us, and we've got action as well, and we've upgraded that stuff.
You new
saw
systems,
E3,
right?
and it looks and plays really cool as well. But our game is not an action game. Our game is a narrative-based exploration into Batman and Bruce Wayne with action in there, and it's everything that you would expect if you understand that going in. So I think it's really cool, and for the Batman fan, there's really good action Batman games out there that we love, like Kevin said as well. This is another thing to kind of complete your collection that really gives you another side of it. And we're doing something really unique with Bruce, where there's been very little Bruce gameplay anywhere else, and we're a lot of Bruce. We're a lot of Batman also, but but it's 50-50.
Well, that's what's so exciting. I mean, I don't know if you can talk about it as a comic book fan too, but as a comic book video game fan, is the fact that there can be different properties in the same, or there can be different games, I guess, in the same property, but it does get to come out and it's not doing the same thing.
And that's not what we wanted to make either, because it's not our strength. Our strength is what we do, and with the narrative and really those deep personal relationships and deep interactions there and how it changes.
Like, it's so much fun when you're Batman and you're interacting with Gordon. We come in as Bruce, and you are right there with Bruce. You know what happened while you were Batman. but Gordon thinks he's talking to an entirely different person
Yeah, an
at
idiot.
this point. Yes,
The
right?
relationship's different.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure, right?
And it's so much fun to sit there with Gordon as Bruce, and when you have the option to make little jabs at him, like that are kind of, you're in the know, you get this duality, you get the real Batman experience, which is Gordon is a completely different Gordon when you're in the suit than when you're Bruce. And you can have fun with that. It's a really rich space for us to play in.
Is there always just an option though? Just tell him you're Batman.
Yeah, yeah.
Just tell him.
Just the
tell
I'm
him
Batman button.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I had no
Instead
idea.
of the silent option, we've just got I'm Batman.
Yeah. Game ends, credits roll, you're arrested on the scene. Done and done. Tony, why do you think Batman is as big as Batman is? I guess that he's so popular because he's the most relatable. He's just a human guy, and his only superpower is being Batman.
He trained as a kid. He trained himself.
Yeah.
And he made himself the ultimate fighter, the ultimate detective, and that's what he's dedicated his life to, is to prevent what happened to him as a child, that trauma. He doesn't want anyone else to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So you can't not like a guy that wants to do that. He's a good guy. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a good guy. Why not give him a shot?
sacrifice his life for everyone.
So then, for you guys, like, is that how you come at it? Like, did you have to interview people? Did you all come into a room and talk about what Batman is to you and how that would play out in this game?
Yeah. We all got around with people at Telltale and people outside of Telltale and really kind of dug into, like, because there's so many different takes on Batman. Which kind of Batman do we think is the most interesting and most compelling? And we definitely like everything you talked about, but we also like that Batman is this kind of dark, like there's a little bit of crazy in there. Like he's kind of broken.
Yeah, just a bit. If he's going to dress up as a bat and run around.
Exactly, and that makes even his friends, Alfred and everybody, a little nervous, and people are trying to look out for him while he's looking out for everybody else, and it's ultimately kind of a lonely space to be in. So he's super heroic, and he's got all of these skills, and he's really motivated. But there's also this dark, kind of broken side to him that affects everything about him, and we let you explore that, kind of the more emotional side of that in our game. When that's one of the things that we do really well. So that's one of the things we really lean into our version of Batman.
And then I guess I'm going to stick with you for a second, all right? Is that okay?
Sure.
Hold my hand for a second. You're the big cheese at Telltale.
Yes.
You've been around a long, long time. Long time.
Yes.
You're very old.
I am. Yes. They wheeled me in here for that.
They out of the cryogenic sleep,
Yes.
you came here to talk about it. What year is it? A question for you would be: when you in the early days of Telltale, did you imagine this was a possibility that you'd be working on Batman?
Oh, we always aspired to be able to work on things like Batman.
Sure.
I think it's pretty much like pinch me that we're actually working on Batman, because it is so huge and it's such an important thing in popular culture. But this is always what we hoped to compete with. We wanted to entertain people in a really high-class way, the way that Batman has always done. The best storytellers in the world work on Batman, and the fact that we've been invited in is awe-inspiring from something we started, years and years ago.
Sure.
And it's been this steady march of kind of learning the craft of interactive storytelling to kind of earn a place where, like DC trusts us to come into the Batman universe and make a product that competes with all the other games, all the other movies, and things like it's a high bar, and we've got all of our biggest guns pointed at it to make this incredible Batman experience, but it's still uniquely Telltale, and it's pretty amazing from my perspective that we're here and we're actually doing this.
So we've talked. I keep bringing it back to like the beginning, but that's what we. Since you haven't let me play the game yet. When you guys find out you're excited, it's Batman. Is every day, or was it one day of like you got to design your own bat suit and make your own Batmobile, and make your own Batcave, and like that's like the nerdy stuff that I would lose my mind to do.
Yeah.
Was it just moment after moment of like we're gonna do? Oh my, we can do this.
Every day's like that.
Yeah.
It continues like that. It's like, oh, we need to make a new gadget, and we can invent a new Bat gadget. It's like, what do we need? That's really cool.
Shark repellent.
Shark repellent is exactly what we came up with.
Yeah.
So I guess, great minds think alike.
It's
so
the classics.
Things like that, or even things like, okay, we're working on a villain that's from canon. What do we want them to look like? Because we don't have to make them look exactly like they have in the past. We want to have nods to that, obviously, and so that you understand who it is. but we get to make our own unique take on them, which is really kind of fun and super interesting as well.
And it's not just the new stuff that we're inventing. I think it's the twists that we're able to put in, the unexpected stuff. Like I said, it starts at a very familiar place.
Yeah.
But the things that happen to relatively familiar characters over the course of the season, and that happen because of the way you play, are I don't think we've seen characters evolve in this way in any other aspect of Batman canon. So it ends. It's definitely its own unique lane.
You just tell me already. By the end of episode 1, do you feel I'm already seeing that results, that I'm seeing like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they've done this to that character?
Yeah, the character that's the problem is an unexpected character.
Alfred.
It's Alfred.
It's all Alfred.
Yes.
Good old Al.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Tony, as we get ready for episode 1 here, because this video is closing out soon, and then we go to cryogenic sleep till we get it. What do you want out of episode 1? Like, what do you want out of this Batman story?
See, one of the things that was like on my mind is like, what characters, what other villains are we going to see? And because I would imagine you guys would kind of have to hold back, for future chapters, future seasons, and all that. And so, you want to see the popular characters, but at the same time, you want enough time where everyone is fleshed out enough. Like, I'd like to see Condiment King. And he's a character he shoots ketchup.
I know Condiment King, yeah.
But
I want to see Batman.
But
really twisted
at the same time, as much as you might want that, it's like, well, maybe that's not the best way to go.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more Joker or someone else. And
yeah.
Condiment King is featured prominently throughout
yeah. So what? So far, and I'm not even saying villains. We know Harvey Dent's in there. We know Catwoman's in there. Like we said, Falcone's in there. And that was like that. I love that exchange. Just to to give you too much props here. But like that was such a great part of the E3 demo was Bruce talking to him, and then because that was the first moment where I was like, we're making decisions as Bruce Wayne, and how does that affect it, and how's it going to affect Batman? And when we get in there, and it's like, do you shake his hand in front of this room full of people?
Yep.
And it's such a small thing, but it's like, under no circumstance do I shake this guy's hand, but then I don't no longer look like this stupid playboy that I am.
Right.
And then I was like, man, it was really hard, I guess, for Christian Bale to act drunk in that scene. Because I never thought it would be, but here I am in these moments as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, those are the kind of things that I think are unique to the Telltale experience. Is you're standing in front of Falcone, you're not going to beat him up, you're not going to do anything. You're on stage, you're literally at this gala with people surrounding you, and he holds his hand out, and the press and everybody is watching Bruce do this, but as the player, you're sharing that Bruce experience. You know that this is a bad guy you don't want to shake hands with. Right. You know what it would mean. And that's one of those classic Telltale things. What's the right choice there? And there isn't really a right choice. If you shake his hand, then now you're playing as the playboy, and it's not a big deal, and you're aloof and all of that. If you don't shake his hand, you're a badass, Bruce Wayne.
Suddenly you have a backbone.
You're giving him a message, and that influences the way he interacts with Bruce for the rest of the game. So you're on stage, you're faced with this relatively simple scenario of, do you shake this gangster's hand? And that's a big deal in a Telltale game.
Now, I feel like the one thing we haven't talked about, which is weird because we're so deep into the show already, is your cast. You've done a great job of casting this in IMO. Of course, you've done the same thing that always happens where you fell into this Troy Baker trap. Once you let Troy Baker in one of your games, you get all of his cronies, as Travis Willingham, Laura Bailey.
They're all fantastic, though. So how do you say no, right? They're fantastic. And so, yeah, we're super excited about the cast.
I'm assuming there were auditions and everything else, or did
Absolutely.
you guys know from the get-go?
No.
What did Troy bring to Batman that's why you wanted him?
I think it's a lot of what Troy brings to Batman and Bruce, right? Because it's two roles that he's got to play, not just one. I think he brings a real... first of all, the guy's just super talented, right? He's just great.
Too handsome, too.
He's a little handsome, yeah. Anyway.
I'm just saying he has too much, is all I'm saying.
You got me all
I understand, Troy, you're talented. You also need to look good all the time. Amazing scarf collection, good socks.
See, that I didn't know now, yeah.
Oh, man. Next time he's up here, just drop it out of the blue. Hopefully you meet him, or you have him up here before this post. Be like, hey, I heard you like socks. I'll be like, oh, yes, I do. Would you like to talk about them? And then he'll do that thing where he whips his hair back and be like, well, I was in Paris. And
everybody signed Troy up for Sock Club.
But no, so he comes into audition.
Yeah, and he brought just a real good understanding of what the character is, on both sides, Bruce and Batman. He just plays it really well. He gets kind of the brooding billionaire part. He gets the Dark Knight part. He gets the more gentle Caped Crusader part. So we can get all those different things that we need from him really easily. And he's a huge Batman fan, so obviously he knows a lot. He understands what we're doing, and he asks a lot of really great questions. When we say, hey, we want you to do this, he's like, that's different than Ken. And we're like, yeah, this is what we're doing, and this is why this is cool. And he's like, oh, okay.
He's like, I refuse to do that.
Yeah.
Walks off set. That's not my Batman.
Maybe once or twice.
Yeah. Well, no, what I thought was interesting, talk to me about your Harvey Dent. Because when I'm friends with Travis Willingham, so I know him already as this big, hulking, lovable dude. Yeah. And then I'm playing the game, and Harvey Dent shows up, and that's exactly who it is. Is that how your Harvey Dent was always going to be, or did Travis influence that?
Well, I think Travis influenced it a little bit.
Yeah.
But we were always going with a bigger. We wanted a big Harvey Dent because of where Harvey may or may not go.
Yeah.
Right?
Based on my decisions, Telltale, how you doing?
That's right. We thought it would be a cool evolution to have somebody that's a little bit bigger than Batman there. So that was part of it. Also, he just brings a real good kind of politician nature to Harvey. Because in the start of episode 1, Harvey's running for mayor. And so that's what that gala is that you played in the E3 demo, where it's a campaign thing. So he plays that role really well as the politician. So.
Sure. Laura Bailey, Catwoman, Selena Kyle.
Awesome.
Is there any reason? I don't think she's been in a million things. You watch it, she's Catwoman, nails it. But what I'm excited about you, Laura, don't get me wrong. But then I like that you guys, for the first time, unless I'm wrong, which I rarely am, first time you're working with this Richard McGonagall.
I think it's our first time, yeah.
Yeah, he's so good as Falcone when he came
Falcone.
in. Yeah.
He is literally a comic book gangster, right?
Yeah.
So you want to portray kind of the fantastic kind of comic book nature of it, but then you want it to be a real character as well. I think all the parts here are it's this fine line between being realistic and dramatic, yet still being a fantastic kind of comic book universe.
Sure.
And it's really challenging for all the actors, particularly for Troy, because he's playing 2 different parts. And they're all really bringing their game to the part. They're really, really committed to like finding that balance between the crazy comic book universe and grounded in like some really good drama.
I was just wondering, do you have to pay Troy twice for playing 2 roles?
No,
we do not.
You should be his agent. You could have done
But we have to book him for a lot of hours because
he
he's got
makes
a
us
ton
do
of
them in
lines.
separate sessions, and he dresses differently each time. Which is,
Before we wrap up, any questions you have for these guys? Burning questions as the Batman fan. I'm super excited they're doing their own thing. They're taking Batman and making it. I'm excited for when we get off the beaten path, when it isn't just what we know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to have earlier in his career. So he's not the ultimate, Batman that can do anything. So, because I'm assuming as I play the game, I may make some mistakes.
No, you?
I don't know, but so it would make sense if it's a younger Batman for that. I'm really curious, sort of decisions you make. How drastically does it affect the game? Like, is there like I just played, this chapter. I need to replay it now, as a nice Batman versus brutal Batman is like a huge difference.
Yeah, so it's a typical Telltale game. So branching is a part of it, but it's not like there's going to be 100 different endings to it. It really is how you role play and how the relationships you make and the story, the narrative affects all of the characters. So everybody's plays kind of a very similar story, but it's really tailored to how you play. You're playing your own version of Batman and your own version of Bruce, and you're going to be developing different relationships with all the characters than I might or anybody who plays it. But you're going to be able to share the circumstances and talk about like that. Do you shake Falcone's hand or not? That's we can make different decisions there, but we get to talk about well, why did you do that? I would have never have done that.
And that's what we'll do in this show when the episodes are out and you've played them.
Yeah.
That was always one of the things that I loved and hate, like in Walking Dead, where you make a decision, it's like, oh, if I should have made that other decision, and so it'll be interesting to see.
So it would be, nobody wants a Batman game, or we don't want to deliver a Batman game that doesn't have Falcone in it. So it's not like your choice determines whether he's there or not.
Gotcha.
So your choice has to determine how he feels about being there and what his motivations are and why he's doing the things he's doing, and that's what you have influence over. But he's going to be in the story. He's going to be in everyone's story because it's a great Batman story. You have to have Falcone in it.
We want to open the floor to our audience for questions over here, for your spitting questions. Yes, sir. What's your name?
My name's Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, how's it going? And for the Telltale guys, we mentioned earlier we're looking at a really big Harvey Dent, physically large Two-Face. And we've seen this happen before in video games where basically there's a physically large, imposing character. Is that going to pose physical challenges Batman has to overcome? Is that just sort of a stature, posture thing? What are we looking at here?
Well, it depends. It's not necessarily Batman that has to overcome it. It might be somebody else. Maybe you have to interact in a different way there. But I think it will be both in just to be an imposing guy, but also definitely a physical presence later on. Again, hard to say things without spoiling.
Sure, and that, I mean, I understand that. But like when I was playing through the E3 demo and he walks up and gets introduced, my first thing was like, oh, he's a big guy.
He is a big dude.
If we go that way, that's going to be an interesting fight. That's going to be something different.
Yeah. Having a big dude as a friend or a foe is interesting in different circumstances.
Exactly. Are there any other audience questions? Yes. What's your name, Miss?
Blue Jay?
Blue Jay.
Yes. I think we've seen a lot of, in the E3 demo and in the pictures, we've seen a lot of Batman with his antagonists, as it were. But Batman has a history of working with people like Robin and Batwoman and Batgirl. Do we get to see any of those types of characters?
Yes, you may. Batman will absolutely work with some different characters, and they may be unexpected, which is cool. And you may get to choose some of that too, of how much you want to work with different people.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it's a Telltale game, so you don't necessarily presume that everything that looks like an antagonist necessarily needs to be an antagonist in the way you play the game.
Okay. And you may get to choose who you want to ally with in some different situations.
What do you guys want to say that I haven't asked?
This is just going to be a really cool Batman experience, you know?
Yeah.
It's something different and there's some cool twists in there and turns that you won't see coming.
Yeah, I just think we're super proud of this game. It's, I think, the best looking thing that Telltale's done, the best performing thing that Telltale's done from a technology point of view. It's got this great investigation mechanic in it. It's got all the role playing that we love. It's like a really, it feels like Telltale firing on all cylinders, which is just a fantastic thing. It's a high watermark for us.
So, Sean, big question, when does it come out?
Right around the corner in August.
Oh, not long at all?
Nope.
All right, well, good. Well, you should probably get back to work and finish it off for me, all right?
I probably should.
All right, great. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Audience, thank you for joining me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Remember, this is Batman Unmasked, your reaction show for Batman, the Telltale series. Remember, you go play episode 1, and when you're done with that, you're going to have a lot of questions. You come back, you watch us. We'll all discuss none of these people will be here. I'll be here with other people. I'll discuss with them what I did, what they did. We'll have a great time. You're going to go, this is a great show. You're going to like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.